At the end of week 4 of the election campaign, and it's all about Albo now, isn't it? Sometimes people wonder why we have election campaigns stretched out federally over a minimum of 5 weeks. I mean, the parties have 3 years to detail their policies and make their arguments. Why not just set a date and let us vote? Some people also wondered why Scott Morrison deliberately announced a date that would make this campaign 1 week longer than was necessary. Well, now you're starting to see why. The opposition leader is wilting before our very eyes. The pressure test of the campaign is exposing his weaknesses. Election campaigns matter because they give both sides an equal platform. It's the only time that oppositions really get equal prominence with the government, and more even resources too, given the caretaker provisions. This is great for democracy because it gives us a good look at the competing parties and candidates and leaders. And with it comes much more scrutiny than oppositions normally get. It is, as I said, an important stress test. And that's where Anthony Albanese has struggled. He has really struggled.
It was a mistake. People make mistakes. If a mistake is made, I made a mistake. If ever I make a mistake, that it was a mistake. I made a mistake. I'm not trying to analyse it. It's a mistake, Andrew. I made a mistake, and you probably made a mistake. Other people have made mistakes. When you make a mistake, people make mistakes. If there was any error made, I of course would apologise.
And we could go on. This is the worst meltdown of an opposition leader in a campaign that we've seen in living memory. The only one that goes close was Mark Latham in 2004, perhaps even John Hewson in 93, but really they didn't make many errors, and with Latham it was more that aggressive handshake right near the end that seemed to betray the stress and strain he was under. Albanese today was pleading for mercy and losing his patience.
Let me tell you what the NDIS is about. It's not about gotcha questions. What it's about is providing
what policy really a gotcha question, Mr Albanese.
You had your opportunity. You had your opportunity, and now it's my turn to answer. So just wait.
The trouble is that after his horror press conference yesterday, where he couldn't rattle off his own 6-point plan on the NDIS, no less, Albanese last night denied it was a mistake, and then he pretended it was someone else's fault, the media's.
Was that another mistake today?
No, it wasn't, David. No, it wasn't. It was one of the things that puts people off politics, I think, is the sort of gotcha game playing. The essential point is that I've just run through the 6 points.
But you couldn't today was the point. I'm just wondering if you
No, I wasn't given the opportunity.
Well, that, of course, is just nonsense. It was a mistake, a big one. And let me just show you some of yesterday's exchange that shows a small bit of Albanese's many opportunities to explain his plan.
Yesterday, you talked about Labor's 6-point plan. What are the 6 points?
The 6 points are what we will do in terms was outlined by Bill Shaw. What that's about is making...
No, what are the 6 points?
What that's about...
What are the 6 points, Mr Albanese?
Let me answer the question. What that's about is making sure that we take pressure off people who are, at the moment, having their programs cut.
Yeah, that was Albanese yesterday, and then last night he said he had no opportunity to explain what he knew about his policy. He had ample opportunity. So what's happened here is that the Labor leader has compounded his error now by denying it and pretending he wasn't given a chance to explain himself. Remember earlier in the campaign he said he would own his mistakes?
Earlier today I made a mistake. I'm human. But when I make a mistake, I'll fess up to it and I'll set about correcting that mistake. I won't blame someone else. I'll accept responsibility. That's what leaders do.
Fine sentiment, but not what he's been doing with his subsequent mistakes. He also said early in the campaign that he would always take all of the media's questions.
Was ridiculed for us. At the start of the year, the Prime Minister... You haven't answered my question. So at the start of the year...
I'm giving everyone a go, and then I'm having to come back.
Was ridiculed for not knowing the price of bread and petrol. Are you saying that on this election it's inappropriate to ask the leaders?
Hang on, I'll come back to you.
What are...
I'll come back to you and just giving everyone a go.
Yeah, he was always going to give everyone a go, but now times have changed.
Seriously, this is an example of what puts people off politics. You cannot have a clearer answer than that Labor is putting additional funding into health, education and the NDIS, and we stand by it. And you know what puts people off politics? That sort of word game.
Yeah, the thing here is that Albanese is being found out. Running for the Prime Ministership is a tough gig, and he's failing at it. He needs to prove to voters right across this country, voters who hardly know him really, he has to prove to them that he's capable of handling the top job of running the country.
But you know, when you're Prime Minister, you don't get an easy day in the office. Every single day is hard. You've got to make tough decisions every day. If Anthony Albanese thinks the campaign is hard, I've got news for him. Government's a lot harder.
Labor and its supporters in the media are now crying foul. They're attacking the journalists for asking hard questions, saying that they're trying to be the story. The journalists are trying to be the story rather than just report it. Now, make no mistake, this is not just blame shifting and excuse making. This is a deliberate attempt to intimidate those journalists, to try to bully them into being more compliant, into not asking difficult questions of Anthony Albanese or not following up their questions. Albanese hasn't had a public function all day after his morning press conference, but he has to front up for another leaders' debate on Channel 9 on Sunday night. The pressure on him is going to be intense. Labor can see what might be slipping away from them. Everything matters from here on in.